lie awake thinking about embarrassing things that you did when you were little? Ha! That's crazy. I never do that. Story time! Story time! Ooh! Never do that again. Hello folks, welcome back to Stuff I Make Because I'm Bored. My name is Sin and I will be your host, and oh my god, work has been kicking my ass. Don't get me wrong, I actually really like my job, but days where I finish work and don't sit there like a zombie for 3 hours trying to recuperate are, rare. So today I want to share some fun stories of me when I was a wee baby. And by that I mean when I was between the ages of 10 and 12. So fun fact about me, I was actually born in the country of the Netherlands, and when I was 10, my parents decided to move away from Europe to an English-speaking country. I had, well, not many friends, but I did have friends in Holland, and it sucked kind of leaving them behind. But I figured, you know what, I'll just make more friends when I get there. This did not happen. You see, at the time of us moving, I did not speak English. I barely knew the difference between sunny and rainy, so there were quite a few times where I kind of made an ass out of myself in class. For example, I remember one time I was talking to a couple of my classmates. I was chatting with them about, I don't know, like dresses or something like that, and I was trying to think of the word for tights. But the Dutch word for tights is pantalons. And I remember thinking to myself, well, there's a lot of words that are Dutch that also translate almost directly into English, like apples, apples, all those kinds of things. So I just say, and we needed to buy pantalons? Pantalons? And the people that I'm talking to are standing there looking at me and they're just like, did you mean panty liners? No, I did not mean panty liners, but that did not stop me from being like, yeah, sure, probably, and continuing on my merry story. This earned me the reputation of that weird Dutch kid. Haha, oops. So making friends did not really go very well for me. Luckily, because I was a bit of an outcast, I ended up making friends with other outcasts, or at the very least, other unpopular kids. One of them was the first friend I ever made. Her name was Sunny, and she was one of my best friends. She was really fun to hang out with, until she moved back to Korea, and I was once again by myself. After that, I made friends with a girl named Ashley, and we were great friends for several months. Until she moved across the country, and I, again, was left with no friends. And this was like 2 years into me living in this new country. Still no friends. That kind of sucked, especially in contrast to my sibling, who is like a friend-making wizard or something. I don't know how they do it. But we land the plane in the new country, we are standing in the grocery store buying groceries, and across down the aisle walks this girl with her parents, and my parents are like, hi, we're trying to figure out how to like buy school supplies or something. For some reason they start talking. And this kid that we met on the first day in this new country became best friends with my siblings, and they were best friends for like 12 years. It was crazy. So of course, looking at my sibling and then looking at myself, it kind of sucked that I didn't have friends. There was definitely once, maybe there were more, I don't remember, but there was at least one time that I was crying in one of the changing rooms because I had no friends. Now, fortunately for me, potentially unfortunately for the person, somebody heard me crying and came into the changing room asking me if I was okay. I don't have any friends. I could be your friend. You want to have a sleepover? No! We were best friends for like 12 years. I was very excited, okay, when somebody said they wanted to be my friend. I wanted to have a sleepover. When I made more friends later down the road, apparently this was the first thing I asked them also. So I don't remember this, but they all insist that it happened, and I believe them. Anyway, so I did end up making friends, even if it was kind of, I don't know, out of pity. But you know what? Whatever works, works, man. However, some other things that I acquired in this new country were phobias. Specifically a fear of needles and a fear of spiders. How is it that you can acquire a phobia by moving to a new place? Well, you see, when I was a kid, between the ages of, I don't know, able to walk around by myself and 10, I used to play with spiders all the time. And not play like trap them and like make them run obstacle courses, but just catch them, let them run around on my hands. I loved spiders when I was a kid. When I moved to this new country, however, everyone was terrified of spiders, okay? And it rubbed off on me. There was a long time where I was also terrified of spiders. It's gotten a lot better now. I still don't like them touching me, but I can definitely pick them up and put them outside as needed. There was even one time when I was living in a basement suite with a couple friends. This was probably when I was like, yeah, probably 18 or 19. And I remember sitting in my room like the shut-in that I was, and I remember hearing this hubbub outside my room. And I remember leaving my bedroom and being like, what is the problem? And my roommates were having a small get-together and all of them were like, stop, don't move, there's a spider directly above you. The thing with my room was, for some reason, there were like 2 steps leading up into it, and I was standing on the top one, which meant that I was like approximately 10 centimeters from the roof at that point, and I tipped my head back, and on the roof is this gigantic, really fat spider. Here is where my one superpower comes into play. I have this thing that I like to call the mom friend override. If everybody else that I'm around is really, really terrified, There's a loud grinding noise in my hallway. When other people are terrified, I'm perfectly fine. In this moment, it came in perfectly clutch because there were like 10 people, all terrified of this giant fat spider sitting on the ceiling. I just reached up with my bare hand, what the hell was wrong with me? Grabbed the spider, walked outside, put it down, completely blank-faced, and walked back into my room. That was the greatest power move I've ever made and will probably be the best thing that I ever do until I die. So I am getting better with my phobia of spiders. My phobia of needles, however, cannot be blamed so easily on the country. You see, back when I was still friends with Sunny, which was my first friend in this new country, I was playing outside with her. We had one of those gravel tracks that just led around like a big field or something like that, and we just kind of were like playfully shoving each other, and Sunny accidentally tripped me, and I fell and I scraped my knee across the ground. I stood up and I looked down, and there was this giant hole in my knee, and I just remember looking at it and going, oh, actually, it doesn't hurt at all. So I walked over to my teacher, showed her my gigantic bleeding hole in my knee, and my teacher was like, and then just put 6 band-aids on it, because that's how many band-aids she needed in order to cover the giant hole on my knee. But hey, I wasn't complaining because it wasn't hurting. That night, I was playing with my dog, the first dog I've ever had. Her name was Piper, you know, like from Charmed. As I was playing with this dog, my band-aids fell off. So I walked over to my dad and I was like, hey dad, I need new band-aids for my knee. And my dad was like, we need to go to the hospital right now. Now we're sitting there in emergency care or the ICU or whatever it's called, I don't know. And the nurse walks in and asks me what happens. Now I've only been in this English-speaking country probably less than 6 months, so my English was still bad. So I'm sitting there trying to explain to this nurse what happened, and I turn to my dad and I explain to him what happened in Dutch so that he can explain what happened in English to the nurse. And the nurse looks at me and says, oh, maakt niet uit hoor lieverd, je kan het gewoon in Nederlands tegen mij zeggen. This freaking nurse spoke Dutch! Because she and her family had also moved from Holland. So thankfully I could just explain everything that happened to her in Dutch, which is not, of course, where my phobia of needles comes from. No, my phobia of needles comes from the fact that they needed to sterilize the wound and they needed to give me stitches because the hole was so freaking big, and I needed like 5 injections into my knee hole, and oh my god, it hurts so bad. It hurts so bad. And ever since I've had a phobia of needles. It's not so much like getting blood drawn, that's fine. It's like getting injections. So my flu shot and my COVID vaccines, all of those. I just kind of sit there like, until it's done. I can still do it, but it's definitely icky. But on the plus side, my parents did make some really good friends who they're still friends with now. So it's been like almost 20 years that they've been friends with these people. So shout out to you, Sunny, for providing my parents with some really good friends that they've had for 20 years. Anyway, that is my fun story for the week. How did you make your first friends? Are you still friends with them? Do you have any phobias? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for spending some time with me. Leave a like and subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. I post videos on Tuesdays at noon Eastern. If you want to hear from me more often, follow me on my social medias. You can find the ads here and in the description. But that's all from me today, folks. I'll see you in the next video. Bye! SIMBIB, stuff I make because I'm bored. Hey, do you want to have a sleepover?